One time I had a guy pull a gun on me, right? And he's standing there, he's pointing right at my chest, man. So I look him dead in the eye and I tell him, yo, you really think you have that power in you to kill me? So he pulls the trigger, and he had a Glock. He pulls the trigger and it gets jammed, bro. We sort of think of these people that are, oh, they're in power, or we think of ourselves like we're the almighty. We're not the almighty, bro. We're little cells in this grand organism. So this grand organism operates the way it operates. It's going to be like that for eons. It's never going to stop. And not, no Rockefeller, no Illuminati, no one is going to interfere with that.
Prove to me that you are alive.
Get in our heads, let's not, because they want us to be scared, they want us to be paranoid, they want us to freaking start, fearing one another, like, all, like, we have to try our hardest to maintain the love, to maintain the communication like we're having right now, you know what I'm saying, to try to find
100%.
sides of one another that we can agree with, and it's okay to disagree. We don't have to kill each other, you know what I'm saying, like, we have to try our hardest, man. Right now, I think right now is a pivotal point, because, and this is why we're seeing like distractions everywhere, and this is why we're seeing like all, like even look at the freaking opening ceremony of the Olympics. They're really tempting us. They really want us to,
Yeah, they're that's proper bait, isn't it?
yeah, they want us to go crazy, they want us to get angry, they like, and right now we have to freaking try our hardest not to let them do this to us, man.
And I totally agree with you, mate. It is the only way forward. But the ultimate problem that we've got, and it's all well and good for me and you saying this, and me and you even acting it, because I genuinely do try and be a better person. You know, I've gone through a period in my life where I have done some bad stuff, but I literally went on a quest to be good, and I won't want to do none of that. And I've had some bad luck my way, so I know I've been paying some karma back, because I've had some, bad shit come my way, and bad shit when I was a kid and all that. But it is what it is. It's karma. You get it out of the way, don't you? Just move on from it. It's life. Life will get better, and it does, ultimately. But yeah, so it's a difficult one that we can think like that, but we are generally, like when I'm listening to Chief, I'm listening to Jim Dillinger's channel, other people, it's a rarity, mate. In
Yeah.
general, people aren't thinking like that, and ultimately, they have literally got control of probably 90% of world's minds. They've got control of their mind. They're literally controlling them like puppets, and they can get them doing whatever they want to do. Each time they do something, yeah, they are losing a few who are waking up, but it's such minor amounts of people that it's never going to have a massive impact on
Listen,
what they're looking to do. Do you know what
I,
I
I,
mean?
I appreciate what you're telling. I'm just gonna share a little story right now, and then I'm gonna like make sense of it. One time I had a guy pull a gun on me, right? And he's standing there, he's pointing right at my chest, man. So I look him dead in the eye and I tell him, yo, you really think you have that power in you to kill me? So he pulls the trigger, and he had a Glock. He pulls the trigger and it gets jammed, bro.
No,
So this is what I'm leading to, man. There are universal forces and universal laws that are at work nonstop. You know what I'm saying? And these so-called people, they're really not people, because they're soulless, man. The quote unquote, the ones that are in control and up top, really, they don't control shit. And this is why they have to try so hard with their propaganda. This is why they have to, do all of these crazy things to set us against one another, man. We have to remember that there are universal laws at work, And I'm looking at the situation right now in Ukraine, and I'm realizing that, look, it's a terrible disaster, right? That a brotherly nation attacks Ukraine, right? But look at how much shit came out to the surface. All the corruption came out to the surface. A lot of people freaking bounced. A lot of people started to finally see of how corrupt the Ukrainian government is. So what I'm telling you is, I agree exactly with what you're saying. 90% of the people are still asleep, but we have to remember that universal laws do exist. They do work, and everything, even those 90% of the people that are not aboard with us, everything will get cleared out in time. It's like right now we're going through this cleansing process. This is exactly what happened in Ukraine, man. Right now Ukraine is being cleansed with blood. It's the saddest thing for me to say because this is my people, man, but it's being cleansed right now. All of the dirt is coming to the surface, and I think Ukraine is sort of a symbol, man, for what is about to happen in the world, man. You understand? And this is why, look, and this is why, look, even people like me and you, we met. There's a reason for that. You see, we're starting to connect, like Chief and Jim and like all of these different people. We're starting to connect. We're starting to communicate. We're starting to kind of think of how to move forward. And it's because shit is cleaning up. You understand? Like shit is about, it's gonna get hard before it gets easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting, and that's the thing. I think we've got to go through a process where it is like it's going to get destroyed around us. I don't think there's no way that we could steer this now in a direction where we won't have a society collapse. And we're going to go a society collapse. It's not so much society's going to collapse; it's just going to change completely different to
Yes.
how it's been in the past. And things are going to get really, really hard. And how hard they are ultimately is going to depend on how many people go along with it. And that's why I say the only way that I see in England, if that's all I can really sort of really comment on, is Christians and Muslims have got to really quickly join together. And in the sense that
Mm,
the British people have got to join forces with the
mhm,
people who come from Pakistan and countries like that, wherever Africa, who were born here, who have gone to British schools, who have got that in common with them, especially, them two communities join together, that plan won't work here. Because they can ship all these people in, these fighting age men, but obviously the population together as one could very easily deal with that situation. But as soon as they start splitting people off into Christians against Muslims and all that stuff, they'll obviously ideally like the practiced in Ireland with IRA, also Defence Force, that I get them fighting, it's tit for tat. They do a bombing and a shooting in one community, next
mhm.
community goes and attacks that, and then once it gets going, it sort of takes care of itself, doesn't it?
Listen,
Especially if
man,
they're
like,
orchestrating it, and I think that's what they ultimately want in this country, and that's the biggest thing we've got to work towards combating, and that's the only way I see it combating is if people realise that if Christians and Muslims have got, even by the narrative that they're playing on, and it's
mhm,
like a big game to them, innit? But even by the narrative they're playing by, they've got a common enemy.
exactly.
Do you know what I
Exactly,
mean?
man. Look, the solution is actually very simple. I mean, it's extremely difficult, but it's simple. I've been talking about this shit for years. What we as a masses, and enough people have to do this. We have to go withdraw our money from main banks. We have to stop going to these main stores. We have to stop paying taxes. We have to stop buying their
No, I'll do it,
gas.
mate. Yeah,
We have
no, I'll
to
do
we
it,
have
mate.
we have to stop going to their farms. And the thing is that is, if you think about it, we really have the power because amongst the population, we have everything. We have the doctors, we
Of
have the
course, mate. Yeah,
scientists, we have, you understand? So we could set up something between one another where you go to the local farm or you go to your local whatever, this and that. We don't have to. So this is the only way to combat them, is to take the power away from them but it's kind of a wet dream because this would have to include a big percentage of the population. So I
And it's
understand.
resources as well, in it, because not only have they got control of everyone's minds, but they've got control of all resources. So let's say if we can gather enough people now, which it won't be hard, do you know, for you to gather enough people where you could go get a good community together, where you need land. Do you know what I mean? You need resources to do it because they've got a stranglehold. It's getting it so hard. So that's I mentioned where I found out about Alexander Paramanov. How I ended up learning about Alexander Paramanov, where I watched her videos about ancient history. So she's been talking about Hyperborea. I do know quite a bit about it. And to be fair, a lot of it has come from her. She did these series called the Survivors series, when the survivors of Hyperborea wake up.
Mhm.
So, and what she got really big into is all, different prophecies. And she's got like a bit of a checklist that she does to see whether she, tells you about that person's prophecies, and to see
Mhm.
what type of person they were. So if they made money from it, or if they were healers, how they died, she's got like a bit of a checklist, which felt pretty good.
Prove to me that you are alive.
And they do all tell a time, and it's a bit like what you're saying. We're coming through an end of an age. We're going through a change. We've just gone through the Night of the Savok. We've gone through that Kali Yuga event where
Mhm.
things are going to start turning more positive, and we're going into what you could call, like, I suppose, a golden age. But it's a bit like pulling that plaster off. I think
Exactly.
there's no way around things collapsing and going really
Exactly.
bad for a short enough period, and it's out of that it
So
regrows back again like the phoenix. I suppose that's why we see a lot of that symbology. 'Cause they know
yeah,
that they
yeah,
know that there's these cycles. They know that we're just about to go through it, and especially because I got quite into because I actually already knew Jim Dillinger's channel before you promoted him,
yeah,
and sent it out. I'd actually already watched some of his videos, funny enough. And I've seen, because I got onto his channel through a comment I've seen him put on that Flat Earth British a few years back. I used to watch quite a few of his programs. I don't tend to watch them anymore, but he did put some, interesting stuff out there, and got sort of, get thinking. I forgot what I'll get point I'll get into though.
yeah.
What was
About the Kali Yuga and about us
well,
going through the cleansing, man.
yeah, and all that type of stuff. You look at them cycles, and then have you heard of that Static in the Attic? You've ever watched any of his channels?
Who?
Any of his videos? Static in the Attic.
I'm not sure, man.
So what he used to do, it's a YouTube channel. Again, I actually quite recommend his videos. It's got quite an interesting point of view. Not saying it's all true or not, but he's an interesting guy to listen to. But he did some really good videos, about the cycles where you look at history going back to like the New Madrid event in America, and you had
Mhm.
that late cannabis that supposedly collapsed, and all that mud flood stuff. I'm sure you've all looked into it, but 100% these cycles, and if you look at these cycles going back, a common theme in them is that the populations completely lost their mind and did really
Yeah,
mad shit.
yeah.
Like dance themselves to death or laugh
Mhm.
themselves to death, and
Yeah,
they just want the like a laughing illness where people were just laughing to death, and like thousands of people died due to it. And it was because it was part of this cycle where there's another guy as well. I haven't watched loads of it, but have you heard of the Colburn Bible?
yeah,
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 have you read
yeah, yeah. Of
the
course.
Colburn Bible? So if you're
Mhm.
looking at that with plasma event to do with like energy and all that's coming in, and how it just fries some people's minds. So that's
Yeah.
why when we go through these periods, and supposedly, and this has come through, I think, from Alexander Palamanov, someone had asked him a question like, so, well, if you're this guy and you've got all this money, why aren't you just doing it straight away? And his
Mhm.
sort of answer to that is, well, we want as many people to survive through this period to repopulate the earth and whatever it is
Yes.
possible. So if we do it slowly, we might get 30%, 40%. But if we did it fast, only like one or two. And he supposedly, and I don't know how true this is, I don't know, but supposedly he was saying that they've got technology underground, like transmitters,
Mhm.
that they can use to, that they're basically using to fully distort our reality, our whole
Yeah,
reality.
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
switched these machines off that were underground, underneath, like all cities, everywhere people live underneath cities, and they switched it temporarily off in London just as a test to see what would happen. And at that same time, there were loads of mad riots. But what I thought was interesting about that is, coincidentally, I'd been flicking through TV one night. 'Cause I don't really watch. I might flick through every now and again. And it were about the riots, that had happened. And the policeman says in it, he goes, the maddest thing about them riots is it wasn't just the riots we were having to deal with. There were a whole uptick. Sorry, there were a. Well, let me get a drink for a minute. Yeah, there were an all uptick of violent acts all around, the city. So like spouse and spouse, assaults and stuff like that. And Alexander Palmer was saying that's because when they switched it off, no geezers had no, but the missus were having an affair, and some people couldn't handle reality without it being interfered with. So seeing that true reality in the mind jolting back, it sent them nuts. But it did sort of back up what he was saying, because that particular riots, which were bad, I think it was like 2011, it were particularly bad riots, but across the full city, they had major violent problems across the whole of London at the same time. So it does give it a little bit of credibility what he's saying, because we don't know how much we're getting messed with and how much we've been messed
But
with.
look,
You know what I mean?
I really appreciate what you are saying. I'm gonna try to like put this a very simple way, because obviously we know there are particle colliders, there are infiltrating matter in itself, like there's doors that's being opened to other dimensions. There's things that are like even the internet blocks. If you think about, like, if you get into the subject of electromagnetism, you will realize that the way that they mess with our chemical, your brain's chemical composition, it's crazy. Even your biosphere of your body. But I will say this, man, let's think of it like this, right? Our planet Earth is a living organism, you understand? So
Yeah.
let's think of planet Earth as our body. So let's say something starts hurting me, right? Let's say my arm gets infected. I either chop off my arm or I start taking some sort of medication in order to treat my poisoned arm. And the universe and the earth itself, it's going to do the same thing, man. Because if you think of us as cells inside of the body of the earth, because we are like cells in our body, is the planet is going to go through its cycle, and it's going to cleanse itself out, and it's going to either chop off that arm or deal with the bad cells, with the cancerous cells that are growing, man. And this is why I have such a huge issue, and I always urge everyone, if you're watching a channel and you heard me saying this before, and these people are constantly putting fear into your head, and they're not giving you a solution of how to deal with it, most likely without them knowing, they are being controlled opposition. Because again, we sort of think of these people that are, oh, they're in power, or we think of ourselves like we're the almighty. We're not the almighty, bro. We're little cells in this grand organism. So this grand organism operates the way it operates. It's going to be like that for eons. It's never going to stop. And no Rockefeller, no Illuminati, no one is going to interfere with that. You understand?